What's going on, everybody? It's Pelfrey. Welcome to the channel. Got a few things going on today. Number one, I'm attempting to do some testing. So I've tested nitrate already. Nitrate came back at 0. If you're new here, my tank has never ever had nitrate. It never has. It refuses to ever show up on the test kit. So you know, I don't even know why I tested at this point. I just kind of tested every once in a while. I tested phosphate, and I am using the Hanna phosphorus URL checker for phosphates. So this is the apex graph, and you can see here I had a large spike, but it was actually, I tested it November 5th, and then the next time I tested it was December 23rd, and it was 0.18. So then I tested again on December 29th, and we got 0.1. I tested again on January 7th, which is today, and it is 0.07, so it is going down. I have not changed anything on the system except for the feeding, and I added the 4th light to my algae turf scrubber. So to combat the phosphates, I've not used any GFO. I've done one 5-gallon water change, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, a 5-gallon water change is not going to be enough to make any kind of dent in the amount of phosphate that was recorded on the 23rd of December. So the algae scrubber and less reefroids. To be honest with you, I feel like every time that I've used reefroids, especially if I'm using it a lot, the phosphates have gotten way out of control. And I don't know if anybody else had this experience or not with reefroids, but I have. And I'm not against it by any means, but I say use it sparingly because I feel like I got a little I feel like I overdid it at some point. So I've also attempted to test my alkalinity, and you can see here I have the Hanna checker, the DKH. So I have a vial here that has just tank water in it, and whenever I press the button, it tells me to enter C1. I enter C1. Whenever I do that, I press, and it's been quite aggravating. I've changed the battery. You can see here I've changed the 1, 2. I got the 3rd battery in here. I've used this vial here that's in the background, and I've actually used another vial. I've dumped them all out, cleaned them, re-added salt water, and I keep getting this error. And basically I'll just go ahead and show you here. So we got L.LO, and it says there's not enough light to perform a measurement. Please check the preparation of the 0 cuvette. I don't know if I said that correctly or not, but that's how I'm going to preface it. So whenever I look this up on the Google, it says basically that the light inside the unit is damaged and there's nothing that you can do about it. So I don't know how long I've had this, but I'm definitely going to reach out to Hanna on this and see if there's anything it can do for me, because it is a very nice piece of equipment. It's just unfortunate that it's not working, and I guess that's kind of what happens from time to time. However, you know, I've not dropped it. It stays in its case. I use it every now and then. It's not something that I use on a regular basis. So no matter what I do, I get that error, and it's quite frustrating, but you know, it is what it is at this point. So let's move over to the tank. I'm going to pull the algae scrubber apart. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to take you along on that with me. So since I'm going to be in here anyway, you can see that the skimmer cup is quite full. So I'm going to take that off as well. The growth on the scrubber is quite substantial at this point. So I've not touched it in a couple weeks now, and I am very satisfied with that, and I will attribute my lower phosphates 100% to this scrubber right here. For anybody that says, you know, it's not going to work, blah 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 blah, mine's working. You know, I guess each system is different, but mine's working. You can actually see excuse the red lights there, but you can see there's a big piece of algae right there on a pump that I have in the sump, so I need to take it out. So I am running 4 of the lights. This is the Santa Monica Rain 2, and these are the gem lights. So they're waterproof, which is a very, very awesome feature. So start this by taking the skimmer cup off, throwing it in a bucket. See if I can get this off now. Pretty simple process, but I'll knock the camera over there. So luckily, I have a valve here where I can control the water to the scrubber. I'm actually going to take this platform off right here and clean it. I'm going to get the skimmer cup cleaned first and put back on the tank. So get that repositioned there. The ATO, speaking of the ATO, we've been running the heat a lot because it's been very, very cold, and noticing that I'm going through water quite a lot. So today we've actually lowered the heat some. Water should last a little bit longer, but you can see in the display there's some bubbles. So I actually have my auto top off. It's kicking on again, which is fine. I have my auto top off line right above the return pump, but it's out of the water. So basically what happens is the water gets pumped into the sump, and since it's hitting air first, it's actually bubble scrubbing the tank a little bit. So let's take this over to the tank, excuse me, the counter, without spilling it. Nothing fancy here. You saw it first. Well, you didn't see it, but you heard it. Just spilt the skimmer cup inside the bucket, and that stinks really bad. Oh, it stinks really bad. Whew. Let me get the skimmer cup cleaned up first. So I actually done this on camera a while back. Once again, the wife's not home, so that is the perfect time to get this cleaned up. And you can see it's doing a good job on my system, and no complaints on the Nyos 120. It's a silent piece of equipment, but that is some good skimmate, because it stinks really bad. You can see the bucket here that I spilt the cup in. So luckily I had it in a bucket. Otherwise that'd have been a whole different mess to clean up. Whenever it comes to cleaning the screen on this, it's a very simple process. You don't even have to take this out. I did, because I'm going to clean the algae off of here. I'm actually going to do that in the sink. But you can pull off this end cap here, pull off the screen. You can see I've got some good growth here, so I need to get a brush for that. But I just take a room key from a hotel and just scrape the algae off of it. You know, it comes off pretty easy. You can see it's not a bad harvest of algae by any means, especially since I cleaned the screen a little bit too good a while back, which, you know, could be another reason the phosphates shot up the way that they shot up. So that's that. I mean, it's not a bad little harvest of algae, I should say, and you could feed this to your fish. I'm gonna throw it out there in the yard and let it freeze tonight. The only reason I'm doing this is just to make sure that especially over the slot here, that it's cleaned out doesn't prevent any water from coming through or anything. And I like to run fresh water through it every once in a while just to clean the salt gunk off of it, make sure that it's going to run properly. For this piece here, same thing, take the brush, get the algae cleaned off of it. And the only reason that I'm doing this is because I don't really want loose algae in the box. I don't mind a little bit of it, but since I'm already cleaning it anyway, I'm going a step further and cleaning the box. Reason being is because it can come out of the box. I really don't want this stuff in my return pump. So, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all to clean it. And again, I'm just going to brush the PVC here just to make sure that it's clean. You know, salt water makes everything dirty pretty quickly. A little bit of maintenance here and there goes a long way. That's what I believe anyway. Not too bad. Decent amount of algae out of there. This is the stand for my algae scrubber. So it's a 2-inch PVC, and then I have a 1/2 inch and a piece of what's this stuff called, like RO tubing, 1/2 inch RO tubing. It works quite well. The scrubber just sets, you can see this ring here, just sets on the PVC there. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not. We shall see. Sits just like that. Screen sits in there like that. And we just turn some water back on. And put the hood back on it. And it's running 100% efficient now. Now the water can flow through the screen. Same with the skimmer. Got the skimmer cup cleaned. Got some pretty good foam in it. We'll just go over a real quick update on the tank. I really want to test the alkalinity to see the where my alk was setting at with the dosing. I am dosing 6 milliliters of the Tropic marine-balling method A, B, and C. It's just 6, 6, and 6. And then I'm doing, actually, I think I'm only doing 4 milliliters of the Tropic marine-balling method. And then I am doing 6 milliliters of Acro Power. I'm doing 3 milliliters in the morning and 3 milliliters in the afternoon. So you can see the over here to the right is the Acro Power DIY dosing container. I mean, nothing else in the sump area has changed. The Neptune Core 20 is still running perfectly. The pond matrix is, of course, doing its job. No complaints there. I do have a small power head in the sump, probably hard to see, but it's right here, and it's blowing over in this direction. And the reason being is because I'm dosing over in that area, and I like to keep a high flow. That way, you know, I don't get any precipitation or anything whenever I'm dosing. The tank, of course, right now we have the T5s and the Kessils on. So if you're new here, this is the Aquatic Life T5 hybrid fixture, the 36-inch fixture with 2 Kessil 360s. I don't think the tank should be too blue for the camera, but everything's doing really well. To be honest with you, the leather over here is doing quite well. It's starting to shade some corals over here. I still have this pump over here. It's not turned on right now, but I'm trying to get some flow over in this area right here because the rock structure is so big. I mean, running 2 Gyre 230s on a 3-foot tank definitely is plenty of flow, except for my rocks are so big. So trying to figure out what I need to do there. But everything's doing well. The Recordia mushrooms are doing fantastic. This Aqua SD Acro is doing wonderful. I know I've talked about it for a while now, but over here right by my finger, I've been watching that area for quite some time, and it has finally encrusted over that plug, which is amazing. That's a very, very thick acro there. That's a Rico piece, that's a Rico piece, and this red piece is a Rico piece. This one in the middle is starting to get some color on it, so that is fantastic. The bird's nest here has got some white tips on it, so it's doing quite well in this area here. This little fella right here doesn't have much color on him, but the polyp extension is pretty good. The shrimp has loved hanging out in this area for quite some time. Got the little dendro in the background. The craziest thing is, I don't know if you can see this nub here, but that is the Rico green slimer, and that nub there is some new growth, and that is very exciting and very crazy to see. That's a Rico coral. This piece right here, it doesn't have any colors of Rico coral, but everything is doing quite well. The red monicap has probably doubled in size at this point. Definitely no complaints from me at all. Everything is doing quite well, excuse me, and I am hoping to have another coral pack soon, very, very soon. I'm ready to get more corals in here. I'm in a unique situation where I'm pretty satisfied with everything on the setup. I mean, I would like to change the sump out just because I don't like how small it is, but we've been down that road before. So I'm in a unique situation where all I really need to do is add corals to the tank, and with them being so small, at some point these corals are going to start fighting for room. So that's the unique situation that I'm going to be in, is I'm going to have to pick and choose corals that I want in the tank, and those that I don't want in the tank will just have to get removed at some point. But I got some time to go. I have, quite a bit of room over here to add some corals. I definitely have a lot of room on this rock structure. So the bad thing about it is I don't have a lot of room between the top of the rock and the water, so I have to pick and choose very wisely over what corals I do put in the tank. I need to get this hooked up to the apex. Unfortunately, I don't have any outlets left, but I've done this for a little while now, and I call this a pretty aggressive bubble scrubbing. And if you don't know what the micro bubble scrubbing is, it basically allows it pumps tiny bubbles into the display tank, which then pick up any particles or whatever in the water, and so hopefully put them in the overflow and kind of get them out of the display. So from time to time you may see the coral slime up, but I try to do this once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I try to kind of stay on top of it. I'm manually plugging it in now because I don't have any room on the Neptune EB8 that I have, the power bar. So probably need to get another power bar and just kind of work my way into a second one. Really hate to, because it's a lot of equipment, but yeah, anyway. It's been pretty interesting. I'll siphon the sand and I'll turn the bubble scrubbing on whenever I do that, and you'll get a bunch of stuff on the rocks that look like dust, and I'll try to clean that off the best I can. But at some point it's going to be a non-issue because it's all going to be covered up with coral anyway. But thought that would be an interesting tidbit to share with you all. If I unplug it there and kind of let the cable hang, the bubbles will linger on for a short while. But that's about it for this update. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them below. You can also check out my website, pelfrey.net, pelphrey.net. Have pretty much some tank updates on there, and I get asked quite a bit what equipment I've run on the tank, or my opinion on some tank stuff, and I have some Amazon links there that is stuff that I use on the tank or I have used previously. So if it's on there or if it's in the description, it's equipment that I have experience using. But yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them below. If you're new here, appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you stick around, because 2018 is going to be a good year. And I'll see you all on the next one.